Do you remember the kind of things you would ask God for as a kid, or promises you would make if you got your way with something fast? It could have been something like, I will go to church every single Sunday without arguing if you could let mom buy me a new bike. I'm sure I made a ton of these, and the story you're about to hear today comes from a mom who made a somewhat innocent pact with God, and when it finally happened, she wasn't too pleased about it. You are going to be hearing Esther's story, and Esther is a new mom of twin girls who found herself in a very lonely situation, carrying babies she didn't plan for and having to chart a new path for her new family. Before we listen to Esther's story, I want to make an announcement. Mama Till's podcast has been nominated for an APVA award. The Association of African Podcasters and Voice Artists is a community-driven organization that seeks to discover, amplify, and celebrate African audio creatives. And this year, they have nominated this podcast for a Rising Talent of the Year award. I am very, very honored by this nomination, and I would love your help in securing the award, should you think it's deserved, of course. Of the overall result, 30% of it will come from public votes. So, if you want to vote for me, please head on over to the link I have shared in the show notes. That's awards.apva.africa. Click on Vote Now, scroll down to Special Category, and you will see Rising Talent of the Year podcast, and Mama Tales by Sally Courier should be in the drop down. It feels good to receive this nomination, and I just want to thank you for believing in the work that I do and continually supporting this space by listening to the story shared here, connecting with me and with each other, and going on this journey of celebrating motherhood with me. It is because of you that I do this work, and I'm very grateful. Okay, enough of that. Let's dive right into Esther's story. Oh, and a quick heads up, you will definitely be hearing babies in the background of this episode. This is episode 11 of Mama Tale Season 3. I'm your host, Sally Courier. Let's start from the very beginning, right? Tell us how you found out you're going to be a mom.
So I found that actually I was going to be a mom around the same time last year, and it was the eve of Easter holidays. So that Thursday I left work. I remember I left work. I went to the salon. I needed to do my hair because that weekend I was supposed to go home. And then their dad and I were supposed to go for a road trip, which had asked if we can at least start it on Sunday, come back on Monday. And so that Thursday, I went to the salon. I met some of my friends after doing my hair. It was around 11 p.m. And my friends were like, there's no curfew. At least those days are gone. So let's just go. Let's just go out. Let's do something. And I swear, the minute I drank the canned Smirnoff. I don't know why all stories begin with I was drinking. Yeah. So I remember drinking the canned Smirnoff and just going back home feeling really pathetic. Like I remember just throwing up. This is something that has 5% alcohol, and if you're someone who drinks, that is not a lot completely. So I went back home. I threw up the whole night. And I remember just Friday morning waking up and just calling the dad and just telling him that at least we need to talk pre us going for that road trip. So I just went downstairs. I bought a pregnancy test, and that's when I knew I was going to be a mom. It was, I don't know how to explain it. It was the most emotional thing that has ever happened in my life. Just because at that point I was guaranteed, like at that point in your life where you've had so many ups and downs, and now finally you can see like a smooth road. So I was like, oh my God, I thought like right now we were on autopilot, and then something else is happening, and this is not just a bump on the road. This is not like a real mountain on the road. So yeah, for me that was really emotional. For us actually, me and the dad, for us that was really emotional at that point. But somehow we are here 4 months in, and then I honestly think and believe this is the best thing I've ever done.
Before you found out you were pregnant, had you really thought about motherhood or being a mom?
That's the funniest thing. In 2019, I remember going to a gynecologist and asking them if I could go through tubulization because I was guaranteed I never wanted to be a mom. I had just gone through a lot of pain when it comes with my parents and more especially my dad. So my biological father. So I knew that if this is what parents can do and how much harm they can cause to a child, I don't want to ever put a child in this type of situation. And I remember this gynecologist going, "No, you're too young. Let's just give you family planning that will do this and this." I didn't want family planning because you know how family planning works. It really messes up with your hormones and all that. So I didn't want any family planning. And from then on, basically, I I was celibate. Yes. Yeah, so it was just, you know what, I don't want to be a parent, as I look for other better options on how to for family planning.
So, how did you reconcile with the idea that you're going to become a mom, considering that wasn't something you were thinking about?
So, the way I came to accept that I'm going to be a mom is when I was younger, I used to always tell God that if you give me twins, it's going to be like an approval for you, for me to go ahead and adopt kids. I've always wanted to adopt kids because I feel like um, just many personal reasons, and one of them, it will be, this will be like really something that I want to do, and I do believe that I can be able to love somebody else, not necessarily that I have given birth to. So I used to tell God as a young child, if you give me twins, that will be like you go ahead, like you've just stamped for me, like it's okay, you can adopt kids and I will be with you. So when I found out I had twins, I remember just sitting on my bed in the house that I was living in. And it was a really tiny house, and I just remember sitting there and just telling God, like, just come here, let's sit down, let's talk. And I remember just laughing the whole time and just asking him, like, why me? Like, why did you think I was valuable enough? Why did you think that, like, why did you remember words that I said as a young child? You don't remember all the pain that I've gone through the last couple of years. And I remember just sitting there crying, laughing, like it was so emotional. It was a roller coaster. And I remember this guy, when I got the scan and the radiologist confirmed that it was twins, I remember just telling him, "You're joking, uko na mchezo." I remember the exact words, "uko na mchezo." And he went, "Hapana madam, mi siwezi cheza hapa, mi niko kazini." And then and I'm telling him again, "Wewe uko na mchezo sana." Do you know he had to turn his screen to actually show me that twin A, twin B, like, you're having twins. I started screaming when I was there. And when I went back home, I had to call God and ask him, like, "You just sit down here. We need to have a conversation. Like, we seriously need to have a serious conversation, because when I was telling you about having twins, I was a young girl. I was in primary school. These are things I didn't even remember. And then, literally, the first relationship that I get into, after such a long time, I'm getting pregnant, and like I do, like I don't even know what to say. Like, yeah, these were words I said as a young child, and yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, no, I think one of my biggest fears was that, my doctor telling me I'm having twins. Because I remember for my second pregnancy, my bump was developing a lot faster. So she was like, "Oh, now you need to come. We check that." I'm like, "Twins? No, 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 no. No, 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 please. Me, I can only handle one at a time. Just give me one." I don't, you know? one of the things that you said is that you had a pretty difficult pregnancy, right? So take us through what your pregnancy looked like.
Oh my god, those dark days. I can't believe I have them. And so one of the things about my pregnancy, I couldn't even drink water. Not even my first trimester, not my second trimester, not my third trimester. Like, I don't know, water was my worst enemy. And I used to tell the doctor that, and they'll give you hacks like use a straw rather than sipping. Like, you see how you're sipping water? Don't sip water like that, because there's air. I don't know, just use a straw. That would work for only a couple of times, and then it stopped working. So I would always throw up to a point where I would get sickly. Oh god, I hated it. And then sometimes, if my favorite meal in this whole world is just ugali, some nice fish, and some nice kuma. Like, I really love that. I could not smell fish. Like I couldn't. There's a lot of foods I could not eat, but that's just like the beginning of it, because looking back at it, it's just normal. So during my second trimester, at the end of my first trimester, I started bleeding, and it was spots. So I remember I called my cousin and told her, hey, I'm bleeding and I don't know what's going on. And so she told me, no, go to the hospital. Most of the time it's an infection. It's something simple. You just get drugs and go back home. I remember going back to the hospital. That was the first time I attended my clinics. I went to the hospital. I told the doctor that I'm spotting. And during my scan, they found out I had, is it placenta?
Previa.
Yes, mine was grade 1. And so this doctor just goes on. She's a woman, so she's thinking, oh, you must know this. You need to be on bed rest. What. And it was on a Tuesday. I remember specifically it was on a Tuesday. And I just told her, oh, okay, bed rest, okay. And at that point, my job had just, when you're really, really excited about working, and you just, yes, in that mood, I was like, oh, okay, bed rest. That means rather than going to the office 5 days in a week, I'll go 3 days in a week, 2 days in a week, I'll be resting. But that's not what bed rest means. And doctors don't explain to people, and I might sound stupid for saying this, but you need to explain what bed rest is. I've not been around people who've been sick ever in my life, so I didn't know what bed rest was. So on Wednesday I go to work, and rather than using a matatu, because at that point I really used to work out a lot, I decided to walk home. So I changed my shoes and walked home. I got to my gate and I felt something funny. So I was like, you know what? I will not do anything. I'll not cook today. So I just bought fries, got home, took a shower, and got in bed. I slept well. Thursday morning, and I'm supposed to go to a client's office at around 11. So I cooked breakfast. As I was having my breakfast and I had already taken a shower, I went to the toilet. And I felt, the moment I woke up, I felt like a balloon burst inside my body. And I wondered, what's that? So I looked down and I was actually bleeding, and it was the type of blood that's coming out like a tap. You see how you open your tap? Like a tap that's just running. Oh my God, and my tears started coming out. I got into, I panicked. And I went, slept on my bed on my left side, because I had also learned that when you're pregnant, you sleep on your left side. And I just started crying, and I just started praying, and I just started telling God, I've asked for so many things in my life, but this is the one thing that I really, really want. It has taken me a minute to accept that I'm pregnant and that I'm having babies, but I've accepted them, and now I want them. Please don't take them away from me. And that was my only prayer. Don't take them away from me. I want them. Sorry. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing that I kept telling him, that don't take them away from me. And at that point I was just crying and crying and crying. And then I don't know if I can mention a hospital. I remember just calling Penda Medical, and they have such great service because you can call in if you can't go to a hospital and speak to a doctor. So I called, I explained to this receptionist customer care what was happening, and she was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, you need to relax," because she could hear what I was going through. And she told me, "Is this your number? Just relax, somebody is calling you back." So a doctor called me, a reproductive health specialist called me, and he was like, "I've been told that it's an emergency, so after this you need to pay this amount, but for let's start." So he started just talking to me, calming me down, telling me everything is going to be okay. And they actually take you through some of these questions, just understanding which type of pain are you feeling, what color is the blood. And he was like, "Oh, okay, we might be okay, but you're not that okay, Esther. So I need you to take like 5-15 minutes, drink some water, calm down. You're okay, they are okay." So, and he really talked to me, and he just told me, "Just call your partner, get them, or someone, just get them to take you to a hospital. I need this scan done, sent to me, just so that we can find out what's really going on. But first of all, we need to know how the babies are." So I relaxed. I relaxed after that, but you're still crying. Um, so I went to the hospital, I got my scan, and that whole time I'm getting my scan, this guy is just there trying to cheer me up, because my eyes, when I cry, my eyes are so red and my whole face turns red. So everyone I'm meeting is just like, "Relax, just relax, everything is going to be okay." And I keep wondering, people are telling me everything is going to be okay. Have you got a memo that I don't have?
Yeah, because you're experiencing something that doesn't feel like it's okay.
Yes, and you're in panic mode. L- Like, I don't know how to explain it. You're in on another level where you're wondering. I'm someone who's been working out consistently since 2019, so I know what my body can handle, and I'm wondering, you're just pregnant. This is something other women do it naturally, and people all over are telling you, "Oh, I have an auntie, a cousin's due to who, and she had twins and she was okay, and she was in the village and she gave birth normal." So I'm wondering, what's wrong with me? Isn't my body capable to handle these babies? And this guy was doing my scan, he's showing me my babies were playing. That whole time I'm crying, I'm hysterical, my babies were playing.
Did you feel how did you feel once you saw that okay, these guys are just having a ball in my tummy?
It's like when you're coming in and you have things in your hand and somebody just takes them away, like that type of relief. I remember just laughing and tears just falling. Just crying again, and that guy was like, "Relax, you see, they're okay, they're okay, okay, they're okay, relax now, let's find out what's going on." Because first he had to show me that my baby's okay, just so that I could stop crying, and then not to actually show me what's going on. And so he found out it's just my amniotic fluid was dripping, and so I was admitted, put on some IVs for like a couple of days. It was actually a day, and then the next day I went home, and now they actually explained what bed rest was. Now I understood.
So like talk us through like what a typical day on bed rest would look like for you.
So a typical day would be, I wake up at around 4 a.m., where you lose your sleep completely and you keep tossing and turning and you're done. So I'll wake up at 4. I would cook most times. I know I'm not supposed to cook. So I'll cook most times. I would cook sitting down because I was alone still in the house at that point. So I'll cook sitting down and then take my drugs, go back to bed, eat, doze off at around 5 or 6 until 9. And then I'll wake up, just take my drugs again. I think I used to take my drugs 3 or 4 times a day, and then just go sit down, watch TV for 30 minutes, go back to bed. Wake up again, warm my food. If I can actually, it will stay down, I'll take it. If it does not stay down, that is the end of me eating. That's the other thing. If I throw up, it's not something that you can throw up and then eat something else. That was not an option. So I was really crossing my fingers at that point so that anything can actually stay down. But I was also not that hungry. That's the funniest thing. Yeah, so I'll just eat and then come back to bed for a whole 24 hours, repeat the same cycle the next day. And the only person who, actually two people who knew that at that point I was going through that was my partner, and then also now my colleague, because I had to call him and explain, hey, I can't come to the clients meeting just because this and this is happening. And you know, this guy, and it's a guy, he actually told me, my wife went through the same thing last year, you relax, I will cover it, I will cover for you. So for 2 days he covered for me, and no one knew. I didn't even have to explain at work why I'm not there, so he really covered for me. Yeah, and that's how I survived. But I was on bed rest for a whole month. You feel like plucking your own hair. You've done everything possible. You like, I even painted my nails. I had gel. I removed gel on my nails, and uh, because there was a supermarket downstairs, so I called the guy downstairs and he brought me polish, so I would polish my own nails. Like, I undid my own hair, still in bed. Like, I was just in bed. And you know, the thing is, when you want to strain and you want to do something, because at that point you're feeling, I can go wash dishes, I can go do this, and then you go to the toilet, and then you're still bleeding, and then it gives you a reality check, go back to bed.
You talk about having a pretty lonely pregnancy, right? How did you find yourself in that space? And at what point did you start letting people a little bit in, if you did?
When I found out I was pregnant during that Easter holiday, my mom and I pretty much had a drift. We had some collusion somewhere, and I really got mad, and I just decided, you know what, let me just take a breather from this relationship. So me and we didn't speak the whole time. She actually came to know I was pregnant 3 days to my delivery. um 3 days to my delivery, that's when she found out I was pregnant. And also, in my mom's house, I am an only girl to 4 boys, and I'm pretty close to my second born brother. He also found out, actually, my mom found out through my brother that I was pregnant, because my brother was a person that would meet often. But just because the way my body is structured, you wouldn't know I'm pregnant unless I wore something that was tight. And so my brother never really noticed it, because I would always make sure our conversations were in town, and it was like, hi, what do you, I brought you this, our bye. So he didn't notice. So at 3 days to my delivery, that's when my brother found out. And then the father to my kids, even though I wouldn't like to speak a lot about him, just due to the respect that I hold for my daughters, we really had some disagreements, and I decided that if after I've delivered we still can talk, then let's talk then. But as of now, I didn't feel safe or in a position for me and him to have any sort of relationship at that point. Yes. And then for most of my friends, are people that I have to make an effort to see. So I really didn't put any effort to see a lot of people. And most times it will look like, oh, she doesn't want to see people. And I'm the type of person, if I feel my energy is a little bit low, I'm the type of person who just goes MIA, and I'll come back to the scene when my energy is back. So a lot of people assumed that my energy was off. For someone who's battled a lot of depression, and yeah, so I'm used to that kind of behavior, just going numb and just being on your own for a long time and just sorting out your feelings and then coming back when you feel a little bit that you can handle what's going on. Yeah, so that's how I found myself alone. I let people in 3 days to my delivery, and I only let people in. I let people in because I went to the doctor. No, because now at that point I was going for a weekly check, and for that week I had headaches, like constant headaches. I was so big, my feet were so swollen. So I remember just going to the hospital, meeting my brother in town and going to the hospital, and he was so surprised. Oh my god, you're so big. So he took me to the hospital, and the doctor, imagine when I went to the doctor that day, I was going to another doctor to tell him, please don't operate on me on the 28th of November. Can we postpone it to the 2nd of December? Because I wanted my daughters to be born on the 2nd of December 2022. You see those numbers? 02/12/2022. And the doctor was the doctor was okay. The doctor was okay until I go. I've been having headaches, so I really don't know what's going on. And so he tested my blood pressure and it was high. Do you know he had to ask me to step out and convince my brother to tell me that I need to be really admitted and to go through the CS immediately. It's not even the 28th, it's not even the 2nd. I need to go through the CS now. Yeah, so thankfully I was at 37 weeks, and yeah, I was given 2 days. So because of the fact that they were 37 weeks, they were fully formed. From the scan, they were okay, but now they needed to give me this injection. I don't know the name of that injection, but it helps them use their own lungs when they come out.
So it's like a steroid.
Yes, that is the worst injection anyone in this world. No one will ever convince me there's a more painful injection. You've gone through the same injection.
I have with my son because he was born at 38 weeks, and my gyna just made it sound so. It's like, oh, so we'll just give you a little injection the night before,
Yeah.
to help his lungs work better. Yo, I was like, what is that?
Oh my god.
I was so. I was. Yani, that was the hard. True. It's the worst injection
On this planet.
I have ever had. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
100%.
And it's not that the injection is painful, it's the medicine going into you. Hey. Hey.
I think childbirth is one of those things that if you're rational about it, you would never ever do it. You would never do it.
Yes. 100% ever. Ever until they get to this stage. Now my baby is sorry for the disorientation. The baby is now at 4 months where they now see each other. They actually recognize each other, and you can see the way they smile at each other, the way they so we co-sleep, and every morning they wake up just to give each other their hand, and you see they stretch out and hold each other, like, oh my god.
That's how you find yourself back there. That's exactly
No,
how.
no, 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 no,
If
no,
I- You're like, wow, so beautiful. Like, oh my God. And then you're
no,
like,
no,
um,
no. What if the next time now I'm having triplets? Me, I'll go crazy. No. For me, biologically, two are more than enough, and because I want to adopt, I should just wait. But they are enough. But they're so cute right now, and you tickle them and they laugh, and that laughter is so. And my mom keeps telling me, don't tickle her too much. Her nini mbavu. She'll feel pain. Itauma, usimchekeshe sana. And then she laughs like, it's the cutest thing. You know, when I was pregnant, and a colleague of mine who has 3 babies, she used to tell me, you have to tell people because you need a community around you. And I used to ask her, and so what do you mean about, and what do women who are orphans do when they have babies? And she's like, no, stop saying that. You're going to have twins. You'll be alone. Like, and do you know the hassle of hiring a house help or someone who's going to hold you? Do you know that hassle? And I was like, no. Now I truly understand it, because then she forced me to get someone and I was pregnant and I couldn't bend because what? Twin pregnancy, it's like another thing. Where my stomach was so big, you're so tired, you're constantly tired. And so I had to hire someone, and just because of the season that I was going through, I'm the type of person who likes to come. At that point, I used to like to come into my house and just lock my door. If I come in on Friday at 4 p.m., you'll see me leave my house on Monday at 9. I was the type of person who would buy everything or get everything delivered and then stay in the house, because I would feel comfortable just being indoors. And so that's how I basically survived the whole time I was pregnant. You meet a colleague, and as I was telling you, I met a colleague, and she found out I was pregnant, and she was like, no, you're not going to get to full term with twins. You can't get to full term. And you feel like asking people, why would you even say that? I've just gone through a miscarriage scare, like. And then you're coming to tell me, and if you're a mom yourself, you actually know babies who are not born full-term go through the NICU and all that process and that pressure and that stress. Why would you say that to someone? Why would you do that? So I was just alone a lot of the time, and then now getting nannies. Oh my God, once I gave birth. Another version of me which I didn't know would happen. I didn't want my babies to be held by anyone. Sally, I'm not joking. Don't hold my babies. Don't hold my babies. Even if they cry, both of them, I will hold them. Don't touch my babies. I don't know where that came from. Once I had my operation, my CS, and that's another monster. I don't know why anyone will ever choose to go through a CS. My body, I shivered so bad. I was so cold. For 24 hours, I could not move. I remember the nurses just bringing in a heater. You can't drink or eat anything for those hours after your operation. And I remember just shivering. The best thing was that my brother is the type of person who will drop everything just for you. So he came into the hospital before I went in for the operation. And so immediately he had my babies. They were so loud. They were so loud. He came in just to hold them, to see that they were okay, because I told him that I'm so scared. Because we've all had stories of babies being stolen, babies being exchanged. And so I asked him to come in and make sure that my babies were okay. And so he was the one holding them the whole time. I remember I shivered the whole time. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything because I'd never gone through an operation. And so you're scared that you will tear something, you will do something wrong. Just being immobile and just sitting there and shivering and seeing my babies, I couldn't hold them. So after that, now when I could hold them, no one else could hold them. I had help in my house, and I used to tell this young lady, no, don't hold my babies, no. And even if I was in the kitchen or I was somewhere else and I would hear them cry, I would, you know how after your CS you move like a slug? Yes, so I'll just move and just go hold them, because I don't want anyone else to hold them completely. And after now going through 2 nannies, my mom came in now full time, and that's when now I started being a little bit more relaxed, where she could hold the babies. I'll go back to sleep. Just that, at least getting that time away from them. Going to the supermarket, not even to carry the things because they'll be brought by somebody else, but just going to the supermarket. I had a podcast here, and I remember one mom saying, start leaving your kids early enough so that you start getting used to it. So that's some of the things that I started doing, just going to the market. That's something I really enjoy. I just enjoy going to the market and seeing the prices of nyanya, kitunguu. and just buying them and giving somebody else to bring them, but just that experience of going to nilikuwa soko. Ulikuwa hapi? Nilikuwa soko. Kufanya nini? Kununua chakula, because now I know what is in the house. Yeah, so yeah, that was those dark days, I'm telling you.
It's the little things. It's the little things. Yeah. How was your recovery process? How, because you say that you struggle a little bit the first day after surgery, but how has it been so far?
So far, I don't know how to explain it. So I don't know if it just happened to me. I would like a lot of twin moms to share, just so that I can feel it's normal. My stomach, because of how big it was and how stretched it was, it looked so bad, like it actually was hanging. And you see us, the sky is down there. And I remember the nurse asking me to put a cloth down there, just so that there's no moist down there, and it helps with the recovery of that wound. And then they tell you don't put water on that wound. So I remember just taking a shower first. There's a particular drug that they give you that you spray down there, just so that it covers the scar, and then you can take a shower. Something else I enjoy, taking a long shower. I could not do that because you can't bend, you can't do a lot of things. You wake up, you're bleeding excess, and then your stomach just being really dark with a lot of stretch marks, just having a whole totally different body, and you can't move really fast. So I really struggled the first month. The first month was really I actually remember it. I'm just patting my body and telling it, oh, thank you so much for giving me babies. But that was a whole struggle. That was a whole other monster that I used to sometimes sit down and wish I was still pregnant, even if that trimester was really bad, because you can't move, you can't sleep the way you want, waking up hungry because you threw up a couple of hours ago. I wished that struggle was there rather than the pain that I was feeling. However, once my mom came in, and she would hold the babies, like I would wake up in the morning, and most times when she had the babies crying at night, she'll just come in and hold them. But now the way she came in was my nanny left. And she left like one evening at around 5 p.m. This lady comes in and she tells me, hey, mi naenda. And I'm like, what do you mean? Hey, mi naenda. Yes, just like that, barely 2 weeks after my CS. And I was like, okay, sawa, enda. Because, asking somebody to stay who's already committed to going, that's next to impossible. So I was like, okay, enda. And I called my mother. I broke down. I was like, hey, this is the second nanny that's leaving, and I'm barely 1 month after my CS. I am in so much pain. I am still bleeding. I am like, I just unloaded on her. And this is someone who just found out a month ago that you're pregnant. You didn't even tell her that you were pregnant the whole time. Yeah, and so she came in, so I would leave her with the babies and just go rest. But then after a while, I started adding weight. Like, whoa. And I just discovered pages of trainers who help postpartum moms, and now 4 months in, that's when I'm discovering them. And you're getting things like, just try and walk, take 15 minutes a day to walk. Before, I could not even walk because I would wonder, who would I live with my kids? And then at that point, there are two. If one of them cries, the other one cries. At that point, my mom didn't know how to hold both of them. Now we are pros. We can you can hold both at the same time, actually hold them and walk with both of them. Now we are pros. Before, we used to wonder, hey, I won't break this one. So you will just hold one at a time. But yeah, so I just healed slowly. Now I'm just looking at my body and just thanking it so much and just telling it every other day how much I love it and appreciate it. It has just gone through a lot, and just giving me my babies and carrying my babies to full term where they didn't go to the NICU was like I just pat it and just telling I love you so much, thank you so much, yeah. So my recovery was everywhere, and but at the end of the day we got to somewhere.
Yeah, I like that attitude. You have a very positive attitude because I know, especially for first time moms, accepting your body after is a very tough thing. I struggled with it
Oh yeah,
a
I
lot,
actually had
right?
your podcast.
Yeah, I really struggled with that. And I think you're right. Like looking at it as you look at your child and you're like, my body did that. It's fine if I have the stretch marks and the weird hangings here and there, and I will never probably go back to a certain size. It's fine. It's just one of those things of like, I got here and it is because of this body, which it takes a lot for a person to get there. So I'm very glad that you're finally at that kind of stage. And how are you doing mentally?
Oh, so mentally, I'm still in the gutter. Uh, however,
I like how nonchalant you put that. Yeah, so yeah, mentally I'm still in the so matter of fact. But yeah,
honestly, on a very very serious note, when I accepted that I was pregnant, I was walking through that journey with a doctor. Her name is Regina. So I remember just walking through that journey and just telling her that I've suffered and struggled with a lot of mental health. And I am currently a student at St. Paul's, and they do offer free therapy sessions, counseling sessions. And so that's what I was doing. There's a counselor you can speak to. So that's what I was doing. I would speak to this woman at least weekly, because you go through times where you're thinking, how am I ever going to do this alone? This is not something that I particularly wanted in my life at this point. How am I going to do this? And you have a lot of questions that you ask God, and God is not an answerer of man. So at that point, I just needed someone I can be able to talk to. I'm not talking to my mom. I'm not talking to any of my friends. I'm not talking to their dad. I'm not talking to anyone. Like, I didn't feel that anyone could understand what I was going through. The most I could do was just listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos. Like, that's the most you can do. And they go only so far. Yeah, you need someone else to just come in and talk to. So yes, I was talking to a therapist at that point. I've not yet gone back to talking to them, because I'm wondering at what time do I start talking to them. But I need to start going back, because just also sorting out a lot of my childhood, just because I want to be a different type of mom. I want to be a different type of parent. And the most thing that I want my kids to know is just how much mom was intentional with them and how much she loved them. So when I used to think about having twins, I used to think I'll call my babies Love and Lovely. That's what I wanted to name them, Love and Lovely. And then this season, I hope you've watched this season, But the wife to, yes, her name was Love. And oh my God, I hated that name on the day. So I was just like, no, we can't name our baby Love. And nobody actually tells you it's so stressful to name someone. Like, that's another stressful thing you have to go through while pregnant. Because you're thinking, this is a name that they'll go through their whole life. Like, what do you want to communicate? Because it's also a message that you're communicating and labeling it on someone. So I used to think, would I like to pass a message about God's favor, or would I like to pass a message of what mommy felt towards them? So my firstborn daughter, I named her after just me dedicating her to God and just saying like I accepted it and I love this gift. And so her name is Mema Mukeni. So just Mema meaning goodness and Mukeni just meaning goodness that brings happy and joy into my life. And then my second daughter is called Wendo Wanja. So Wendo just meaning love, and then Wanja after my mom. So after when my mom found out I was pregnant, I remember she called me and she was like, umejua ni tu nini? And I was like, najua kamoja ni kasichana au kengine sijui nini. And she was like, nataka kujiombea jina katikati ya hao. I named them that, and I look at them and their names match them. Their names match them. Yeah, like Mukeni, the first 1 week, she was already smiling in her sleep. Yeah, like she's the one who laughs the most, smiles the most. If your energy is right and you hold her right, like she'll just laugh with you. It actually melts people's heart when they come in here. Like her name matches her, and Wendo just like I know every mom thinks, yeah, I know every mom thinks, oh, my babies are just, oh, but my babies are just mushy, mushy, mushy. Yeah. Yeah, so that's where we are. And I'm just loving this process. I don't know. My colleague asked me, she doesn't have kids, and she was telling me she doesn't want to have kids. And I was just telling her, in my opinion, I was in the same situation in 2019. And I would tell anyone the honest truth, it's that it's a rough journey. But the feeling of having a baby and just being responsible, it just changes your perspective with so many things. You go through like it's not only for me, it was not only a 360, it was like a 980, like I don't know, like like it changes the way you look at life, the way you look at things. I am the type of person who gets angry. I used to be the type of person who gets angry and then goes quiet. But now, just being able to let things go, and that's advice that you get, just let things go. Like if it's not that serious, just let things go. It's not everything that has to be discussed, communicate. Just let some things go. And that's where I am, especially living with your mother. Even if your mother is living in your own house, she is still your mother. I got sick when she came in. I got sick, and at that point I was just from delivering, so I really got sick. And the way she saw how weak I was and how much we needed her, she decided to stay with us. At first it was, until they get to 3 months and then I'll get someone. And now we're just in limbo where we're just like, I'll take it. I'll just take and there's no one else you can trust with your babies as much as I can trust her, because now going back to work, I feel more relaxed when I know she's the one who has them, because we have an understanding, and I know she takes care of them the best way and how much they love her. So so I'm easy right now.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear that. I think your story really does have a lot of ups and downs, but even from the beginning I can tell just how much you've grown throughout your journey. Yeah, so I think that's something you should always be very proud of.
Yeah, I'm much better for it. Like some of the things that are happening in my life right now are things that I had in my plan for like the last 5 years. Some I had planned for the next 5 years, but they're coming to pass, and they like some like how to explain it. You've written your goals down, like at this stage I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But then, and you're thinking like they're so big, if this happens in my life, it's going to be such a big thing. But they're happening right now and they feel so minimal, because just going through a day with these babies, them being so happy, it's like the biggest thing. That I meet a goal that I had written. I'm going through my journal in 2019, and I'm just looking at it and wondering, this has already happened, and it didn't feel so big, because they feel so big in my life. And I'm trying to also think that, Esther, at some point they can't be your everything. Sorry, my daughter is laughing with my mom.
Yeah, I can hear. She sounds so cute. It's like, she's so happy
Yeah,
for 4 months. I was very, very happy.
yes, that's Mokeni for you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know, like I need to get to a point where they're not my everything, because you have to still be you. You need to still get a balance so that you can be a better parent. And one of the things I want to change is that I felt with our parents, they would get stressed at work and they didn't know how to manage their stress, so they would come and bring them back at home. So I need to go back, either to start working out, going to the gym, going for my hikes, doing a lot of things, just so that I know how to handle my pressure, my stress, and not bring them back to the babies. And also just ask a lot of twin moms to share their stories and places where we can just connect, because sometimes you're wondering, oh, does this happen, how do I handle this? At first, when you're telling people that you want to sleep train, they're telling you, no, don't do that. But then you're telling someone, I have twins, and they're like, oh yeah, you need to sleep train, you can't handle two babies. And just going through the injections that they get. And do you know, there's a point where I slept sitting down because of how nervous I was. You hold your baby and they're so hot and they are crying, and there are two of them, so I slept sitting down just because I had to hold this one this side, hold the other one, and I don't want to call my mom because I want her to sleep for an hour so that she can come pick one. And then, like, oh god, oh god, oh god. But as much as you're thinking double the stress, also remember it's also double the joy, because they are two different human beings. Yeah, they're two different human beings. They just, oh.
Esther is an IT professional living in Nairobi, Kenya, with her twin girls, Mema Mukeni and Wendo Wanja. Thank you so much, Esther, for finding the time to do this. And as she has asked, it would be great to feature more stories from parents with multiples. So if you're interested or know someone who is, we would love to hear their story. There's a story submission link right at the end of the show notes. I would also love pointers to any groups or resources that you think would be helpful to Esther on her journey. Just send them to me and I will forward them to her or share them with anyone else who might be in need. You can DM me on Instagram at Mama Tales Podcast. Finally, we're coming to the tail end of the season with just a couple of episodes left. But fret not, I will definitely be doing another season next year, and I'm pretty sure that I will release some bonus episodes in between that, so that should be coming your way. During the season break, I will still be recording stories and publishing the newsletter regularly, so if you're not signed up, please run over there now. The link to join is in the show notes of this episode or on the website. That's mamatalespodcast.com. In the latest issue, I talked about going viral on TikTok and why that happened. You can find that issue on the website. Okay, that's it from me. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Music in this episode by Blue Dot Sessions.